Asian Metal with Lords of the Trident. We're just going to do a quick gear rig run through here. Why don't I start with the guitar? So my main guitar that I use for pretty much all our shows, it's just this standard Fender Fat Strat. So it's actually just kind of baseline made in Mexico one. It's mostly stock. The neck actually broke a few years ago, so I just got a Warmoth one put in, rosewood fretboard there. The one black pickup there is the one non-stock pickup. I found the original one that came, from the factory and whatnot. Didn't have a great palm mute for metal, so I threw in a DiMarzio Tone Zone. Probably the most well-known user of that pickup is, the shredder Paul Gilbert. So I got that in the bridge there. And yeah, I've just been, it's kind of crazy to think, but I've been kind of playing that since I started electric guitar, and it's been my main workhorse since the beginning. Cool, so moving on to the amp here. So for many years, I used Fang's PV Valve King. I'm really thankful that he let me use that for so long. And then recently I switched over to an EVH 5153. I'd been debating for a while between getting the EVH 5153 or an old school like PV 5150 block letter amp. And I looked at a lot of reviews, listened to a lot of clips, and one thing that kind of sold me on this one is I feel like it's nice that it actually has a usable clean channel. The 5150, I mean, you're not buying a 5150, either the old one or the new one, for the clean channel, but this one's definitely very usable. So EVH is actually owned by Fender, and it doesn't have like the best like Fender twin clean ever, but it's definitely very usable, whereas the original PV 5150, which actually Socrates' shred had, and it was a great sounding amp, but like the clean's pretty much unusable. So yeah, I've been using this for a number of gigs now. Admittedly, it's been times been a little hard to get used to. I've always been kind of a one-channel guy, where I would basically play with distortion. I'll just roll off the volume knob to get clean sounds. And so now there's definitely a lot more feet acrobatics where I'm going between the clean channel, the blue crunch channel, and the red lead channel. Yeah, I'm still, I'm enjoying the amp. I think I'm still like a little undecided on it. It definitely has a massive amount of distortion. I mean, you can see on the lead channel, I only need to have the gain at, under 1 o'clock there. Honestly, for shows, I often alternate between the blue crunch channel, which is lower gain but has more of an open sound. I've had a lot of people actually, I don't know from experience, but compare the sound to kind of like a Bogner actually, or Bogner Ecstasy. And then the red channel has a lot more gain, it's a lot tighter, but it's very compressed. So sometimes I kind of vary between shows and as to which channel I use for the most part. And part of me wishes I got the 50 watt, because the 100 watt, I mean, it's extremely loud. I probably only have it at 9.5 or 10 o'clock for most shows. But I figure this has been working well for me right now, and I'll try it for a bit longer, and if it comes down to it down the road, maybe I'll switch to like a Bogner or Diesel or Mesa or whatnot. The cab here is a Splon cab. So we have like a graphic from our current album. Basically, ever since our last album, Frostburn, we've been kind of having a different art thing from the CD on our cabs. So this is from the interior packet, Shadows from the Past, but it's a Splon 2x12. It's kind of modeled after the Bogner oversized 2x12. Is pretty large, especially in comparison to Baron's, I think is Jet City brand 2x12, or Kilius Maximus Mesa 2x12 is quite a bit larger. When I got 212, I really wanted Celestion V30s in them. I did a lot of research, and I feel like they're the metal speaker, and Splon had started actually using other speaker combinations, and I actually kind of sought out a store, I think it was like Blue City Music, I want to say in Missouri or Mississippi. I sought out this place that had one of their old stock Splons with 2 V30s, so that's been a kind of main cab for recording and live and whatnot. So anyway, let me move on to the pedal board here. So my pedal board overall is pretty simple. I don't use a lot of effects. We start with Boss TU3 tuner here. I can't believe I didn't get tuner sooner. This tuner has a funny story. Long story short, Achilles Maximus accidentally broke my Korg tuner, which was like a handheld one, and the band all pitched in and got me a pedal tuner. I don't know why I didn't get one sooner. This is amazing. I would sooner get rid of every single effect but have a tuner. Tuning's incredibly important, and Baron's blessed with a perfect ear, but I don't have one, so it's really helpful to have that. Not to mention it, when I click down on the pedal, it mutes my signal, so there's no unwanted sound coming through. That then goes into a CAE wah here. So CAE is Custom Audio Electronics. It's run by Bob Bradshaw, who's known for creating a lot of like massive, awesome rigs for bands in the 80s and 90s. Probably, I think, most well-known, Metallica, but he's done it for a lot of like famous guitarists and bands. But this was like a joint venture between him and Dunlop, and I was really mixed on wahs, what to get. I don't know why. It's not like a rational reason, but I really like to stray away from signature wahs and pickups and guitars. Like, I don't know, I wanted to be my own, and although I really like the sound of the Jerry Cantrell wah, I wanted one that didn't have like an artist name on it. So I went with this one. I really like the sound of it. One thing really cool about it has a built-in boost on the side. I don't really use it since I have a separate boost, but when you turn it on, a blue light turns here. The really cool thing on the side here, you can switch between a classic style Crybaby wah, and there's a yellow light that pops on. And then if you set it in this position there, you get more of a modern kind of throaty wah that has a little less high end, but has more of a pronounced wah sound. It's very funny. I think we've joked about this in the band, but we have very few songs that we use wahs. Like I'll bust it out live sometimes, but I'm definitely not the most nuanced wah user. I think a lot of people don't think about it much, but like there's really a talent and skill to using a wah. You can't just wah every single note, then you sound like Kirk Hammett or whatnot. So anyway, going after the wah, I go into a Maxon OD808. That's like the tube screamer. At least, I guess it's been a while. I guess at least 10 years ago, it's really been kind of popularized by bands like Killswitch Engage, where they would basically push a 5150 into further saturation, add some compression, which makes notes flow better, which really helps for lead solos and whatnot. It also, actually cuts some bass, but it helps to tighten up the bass response. I was actually watching a video recently of Misha Mansour, so main guitarist of Periphery, and he uses a different brand, but even though he has a custom PV amp now, I think it's the Invective 120, he uses a boost on that one, a Tube Screamer clone, and the big thing with that is that, again, it lowers some of the bass, but it really tightens it up and makes the palm mutes to sound way tighter. So I don't use it on the red channel because the red channel is already very compressed on the 5150, but I'll use it on the blue channel, especially for leads. Great, and then that's going into the front of the amp. I guess I got a TC Electronic noise gate, but basically all it does is limits the noise from the amp. And then in the effects loop, I got a parametric EQ here by Boss. I actually set it neutrally and just use it to boost for my solos. I think down the line I might exchange it for an actual like clean boost pedal, whether a TC Electronic Spark, or maybe do like a little more expensive one like a Sewer Coco Boost or whatnot. And then if I did that, then I would move it out of the effects loop and put it in the front. That then goes into an Mxr Flanger. So I don't use Flanger too often, but I guess the main song you hear is on the intro of Chains on Fire. During that like I throw some flange on that. I guess also the intro of Heart in the Fire. And then that pops into a Boss DD5 delay. It's a pretty simple digital delay. You know, I could go on a long like discussion about digital versus analog delays. I think down the line I might try an analog delay. I'd like to see more Duncan Vapor Trail or the Mxr Carbon copy, but you know, this one works fine. I just add it for a little depth on solos. And then here I have a New Neighbor Immerse reverb pedal. So New Neighbor is relatively recent, but he's known for producing kind of like rack quality, studio quality effects in a small pedal. And you know, sometimes I'll add this to like a clean sound, but I probably don't use it too much. I kind of got it in part just to kind of play around with. It has a variety of different reverbs, spring, plate, hall. It has a shimmer one too, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like a keyboard pad following your playing. And then lastly, I got a TC Electronic Ditto looper. I should probably get better at using that. That's kind of more of a practice tool, so you can kind of play a riff and then maybe play a solo over it. To be honest, I thought I'd use it more, but I find that I get more usage just kind of using a metronome. And then lastly, my case here. So this is an interesting one. I had two Fender cases before this, just like stock ones, and they both had the same issue. The handle just broke off over time. So recently, I looked at a lot of reviews and I recently switched to SKB. I really like this case. I think the big thing that appeals to me is the latches are really solid. They just have a great click to them. They're really, really solid. And the interior provides you with a lot of space for your stuff. And overall, I just like the feel of the case more. I've already played a number of gigs with it and haven't had any issues. You know, kind of a fun fact, Fender, they used to ship, I'm told that they used to ship their Made in America Strats and SKB, and then they switched over. But I'm really glad I got this one because it's just really solid.